Hello, I'm Lexis,
And I'm Brianne.
and we are both life redesign coaches at Connect. Connect Communities and its leading practice life redesign model have been helping coach people after stroke and brain injury to rebuild their lives. And for the past 30 years, they've been wrapping supports and services around people so that they can build a life that's meaningful to them.
I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. Corbin Coulter is a traumatic brain injury survivor, brain trust client, and brain health advocate. When Corbin was 24 years old, he sustained a traumatic brain injury from a fall while drinking with friends. Following his injury, he experienced physical and sensory difficulties, as well as difficulties with his mental health. Corbin credits his progress in recovery to his focus on brain health through medication, nutrition, exercise, and other healthy habits. He is always learning more by reading books and listening to podcasts. Corbin meditates every morning and attended several silent meditation retreats. Please help me welcome Corbin Coulter.
And they're not going to turn the lights on.
Hello again. So this is Mr. Corbin Coulter. I had the pleasure of meeting Corbin several years ago when he walked into our office and he attended one of our meditation groups called Return to Balance. Corbin from day one has shown us just the most beautiful recovery one of my most favorite recoveries that I've had the pleasure of witnessing. He is positive, he gives back to his community, and I'm really, really excited for him to share his story with you guys today. Welcome, Corbin.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah. So Corbin, let's begin with life before the injury.
Okay, well, life before the injury. Well, I was born in 1992 in Edmonton, Alberta. I moved to Kelowna at around 2000. I moved to West Kelowna in 2002, and I've lived here for mostly all my life. I graduated from high school from Mount Boucherie Secondary School in West Kelowna, and since then I've been working, I've been doing labor jobs. I've delivered appliances. Up until my injury, I was working at Gorman's Lumber Mill, and I consider myself to be just your average young adult who drank, party, and just trying to live the best life. And then, yeah, it happened, so.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were living the Okanagan dream and
Pretty much.
Didn't expect for this to happen next. So walk us through a little bit of the day of the accident.
Well, the day of, I spent the day on my stepdad's boat with my with some family and friends, and we were jumping off cliffs near Rattlesnake Island, and I don't even remember getting off the boat, but so we got off the boat, we went back to my parents' house for dinner, and as we continued drinking there, me and my friends decided we were gonna go to the bar, so we went to the old pub Roses, and after we were drinking there all night, it was time to leave, and I guess we decided we were going to leave, so I called a taxi, and it was a busy summer night in Kelowna. So they said they would be a little while. I said, sweet. Okay, it's enough time for me to go climb a tree. And sure enough, I climbed the tree, and I wake up a month later. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what those early days, early recovery looked like for you, Corbin.
Well, like I woke up for my coma for, I think it was three weeks, about around there, and I was told I have severe traumatic brain injury. I had severe double vision. I had to wear an eye patch for a while. And I was told I may never walk again, I may never talk again, and of course I may never drive again, and I didn't accept that. I didn't want to hear that, as I just bought a new Cadillac, and so I really wanted to get out on the road. I thought I'd be out of the hospital in a few weeks, but that sure didn't happen. And so yeah, I did physical therapy, I did speech therapy, occupational therapy daily, going around, wheeling around in my wheelchair for a month in the hospital to all my daily therapies. And yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you had all of your physical therapies and you had them all around you. You were in the hospital setting. So walk us through what it looked like when you were discharged from hospital.
When I was, what I wanted to do was I wanted to move back home where I was living alone at the time. But because my mother, she said it'd be such a good opportunity for me to go to Connect. And I really didn't want to do that, but I am super grateful that I ended up listening to her because it's a tremendous place for me. I spent 4 months there, but I probably could have spent longer. It was so good for my physical recovery, especially because a support worker that used to work there, his name is Bob, and I give him a lot of credit for helping me regain my ability to walk again, as he would take me to the pool weekly, he would take me to the gym, he would take me on the parallel bars, he would take me in the Jolly Jumper, and yeah, so Connect was just a really awesome place for me. It really helped me out with my physical recovery, and yeah, I'm super grateful for them, for everything. It was amazing. I love it, and yeah, it could have been longer, but after that I was back home, and yeah.
Sounds like a lot of people need Connect after an injury.
Well, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened after Connect? What was your next goal?
Well, after Connect, I moved back to my house where I was living alone, and I was still in the walker at the time, but that didn't last very long, as I graduated to a cane shortly after, and the place I was living at the time, a townhouse in West Kelowna, I would do laps around the townhouse, I don't know, the block or whatever, and eventually, about a month of doing that, I was done with that, so I was walking unassisted after, I'd say, like about a month or two, and but yeah, once that was good, I was ready to go back to work, or so I thought. I did a bunch of volunteering jobs, therapeutic work jobs, to get me back to my job at the lumber mill. And so that consisted of, I volunteered at thrift shops, one in Rutland, one in West Kelowna, Restore. I volunteered at a construction company in Penticton, and yeah, so I did a bunch of volunteer gigs, and then I was finally able to make it back to my job at Gorman's Lumber Mill. A year and a half of volunteering and recovery and volunteering, I was able to make it back to my job at the mill. But it took only a few days of light duties to realize that it wasn't for me anymore. And yeah, a year and a half of really hard work, really working towards something, and to have that all taken away from me after 3 days and not being able to accept what was even going on with my life, I felt completely hopeless. I went into a really deep depression, and yeah, I mean, I still struggle with it daily, but yeah, that's where I was at that time.
Yeah. So it sounds like you worked so hard to get back to that job that you're so proud of. You made it back,
I did.
and then it was the next step, right? It was the next understanding, the next tragedy, the next loss.
Yeah.
So tell me, so the depression steps in. What did you do to cope in that moment?
Well, depression, what I did to cope with depression, I didn't know what to do, honestly, but the pain was pretty excruciating, as I ended up going to see my doctor, and he prescribed me a high dose of SSRIs to manage my depression. And that was good. I would be going to my parents' house to smoke, coping by smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, whatever I could do, really. I really didn't know anything. Like, I was just in a lot of pain, and I didn't know what else to do, and smoking just seemed like the good option, but it definitely wasn't. And so while I was smoking at my parents' house, I was lucky enough that my family friend Jenny came over, and she introduced me to a place called Brain Trust that I've never even heard of. I had no idea what Brain Trust was, and she actually took me to Brain Trust that day, and Amanda was there, and she was leading a group, a return to balance group, and it was just so amazing to have like a community, like a group of people who were very supportive, going through similar things as me, and I don't know, it was just really nice. And Amanda leading the group was just the best. Like, she's amazing. I love Amanda. She is such a good person, such a good human. I love her so much. But yeah, so yeah, I met Amanda, and I have.
It was our pleasure, I assure you.
No, it was my pleasure.
Okay. So, as we've spoken before, you said that's kind of when the healing, so we talked about the physical healing that was all done in the rehab settings, but that's when the next level of healing came. So that's when the real healing of your soul and your brain happened. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I got I had such the depression that I was going through, I just couldn't really take it, and I needed to figure out some other ways. I knew there was more to it than to just be taking medication. I knew like I could be doing something. There was no mention of lifestyle or anything about that. Just take these pills and all that. I knew there had to be something I could be doing. So I did research. I found out about the Wim Hof method, which consists of meditation, breathwork, cold therapy, and some stretching. Really, Wim Hof method is what really got me into the meditation, everything like that. And so when from the depression pain, and realizing I need to do something, I need to make some changes, and I realized I had to change my lifestyle. I had to do something, and the Wim Hof method is where I started everything. So, yeah.
Okay, so how would you define the word brain health? Because I know it means something very different to you.
Yeah, well, brain health to me, I mean, I don't know what the correct definition of brain health would be, but to me, like a feeling of self-love, like really accepting this injury. Yeah, I've just dealt with, like, if you've ever dealt with brain fog, like to have a healthy brain that's working right, it feels like you're working right. Yeah, so just with the lifestyle changes, the nutrition, the exercise, like my brain just felt so much clearer. Yeah, brain health is just the feeling, I guess, is the best way that I could say it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
The way you said it to me in the past is it's the opposite of brain fog,
Yeah.
right? So that clarity. I thought that was super powerful. So you mentioned physical activity and nutrition. So what do you do in your day-to-day as part of your healing?
Well, physical activity and nutrition are very important. I consider there are two of the three, the big three, which is nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Those three are super important for your mental health, your physical health, your overall well-being. And for me, I do daily exercise. If I'm not going to the gym, which I usually do, I work landscaping, I work with yard by yard, and that is very physical activity, doing that. And so when I'm not at work and I'm going to the gym, it's usually I'm biking for a few miles. The gym, I lift weights a few times a week, and I make sure to do stretch and daily movement, and so just keeping my body moving, getting my heart rate up. There's a lot of benefits. I have a lot of science to back me up with that, and just exercise. It's really important for everything for life.
What kinds of foods do you eat? Because I know that you've inspired me in my diet.
Yeah, so foods I like to eat real foods. I try not to eat any highly processed foods. I mean, of course, sometimes I do, but it's good to try not to eat the highly processed foods. I don't buy any and put in my house or anything like that. Like, I stay away. But what I usually eat is I eat a lot of fruits, veggies. I eat nuts, beans, and seeds. Fruit is like blueberries are like my favorite. I eat healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil and avocados. I like fermented foods too, such as kimchi and kefir, kombucha. I also fast for 18, 16 hours daily, so that leaves me a 6 to 8 hour eating window. And fasting has also been proven to have a lot of brain healthy benefits to it. So yeah, I feel the best when I fast. So yeah.
And that creates more mental clarity. Right?
Yeah, and before even I eat, I make sure to drink. I make sure to stay hydrated. I keep a bottle of water, filtered water, beside my bed. So one of the first things I do right when I wake up is I drink a big bottle of water. And hydration is very important to me. But nutrition is very important.
So tell us a little bit about your meditation practice, because that's a beautiful aspect of your life.
Yeah, meditation has become quite the staple for me. I meditate. At first, I couldn't even sit still for a couple minutes. Meditation was very hard at first, but it's something that I stuck with. And I knew I could feel the benefits, and so yeah, I stuck with it. And eventually, as I was sitting in my house where I was living by myself, I was thinking there has to be more to this meditation than just be sitting by myself in silence. And then I did some research and I found out about the meditation retreat in Merit Vipassana silent meditation retreat. So I've done 2 10-day silent meditation retreats there, which has been very transformational for me as the silence. I know it sounds crazy, but it was kind of like the best part for me, as it gave me so much time to really figure out what was going on with me in my life, and the silent nature walks that I would do. Yeah, no, it just gave me a lot of time to really reflect on where I was going in life. But yeah, since then I've been meditating every day. It's one of the first things I do every day, and yeah, no, I love meditation, and yeah, I love it.
So something else you taught me very recently, and I had to do my own research, and I thought it was actually quite cool. So tell us about mouth taping and cold therapy.
Are we not? Okay. So mouth taping, yes. I've with mouth taping, I learned more so from James Nestor and his book, Breath. That was, it's one of my favorite books actually, but it's introduced me to the importance of nasal breathing, as that is something very, it's a great tool to have, like breath. There's so many things with breath that I could talk about, but it is very important, and cold therapy.
Yeah.
So yeah, cold therapy is again from Wim Hof method, and cold therapy from ice baths to daily cold showers that I still do. I've been doing it for around 4 years now, and the cold therapy benefits, even daily cold showers, man. Well, with the Wim Hof method, it also has some breath work in there. And I haven't been sick in about 4 years, and the immune boosting benefits that the method it introduced or whatever, it's it's great. So yeah, I do cold therapy every day and cold showers, and it's really good. So.
He's giving great advice. So let's hear a little bit about your breath work. So breathing is one thing, but you have a breath work practice.
Yeah, well, the my breathwork practice, or okay. Well, breathwork, like you could the parasympathetic breathwork, your parasympathetic nervous system, or your sympathetic nervous system. So with the parasympathetic breathwork, it's like my favorite is the triangle breath. So it's usually done through the nose. You go in for 4 through your nose, you hold for 4 to 8, and then you exhale out your nose for about 8. And that is what I do, and that's probably my favorite, the triangle breath. And then the sympathetic breath work. So that is done. That's like the Wim Hof breathing is what I do every morning. And that is more quicker inhales and exhales through the mouth. And yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about your amazing tattoos. So, there's a story behind some of these. So tell us a little bit about those.
Well, the stories I've got being challenged is inevitable, being defeated is optional. I've always loved that quote, even before my injury. It really spoke to me, especially after my injury. Then it really spoke to me. So that was my first tattoos after. But since then, I love. Is that mine?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love tattoos. I love the art. I love the color. I love everything about them. Even getting tattoos is like a meditation for me. Tattoo therapy is what I like to call it. It's how can you not be present while you're being stabbed with a needle? I get so much pleasure out of it, and not to mention afterwards, the art is just, I love it, so. Yeah, and I also got blessed tattooed on my arm here with yearly tallies, so I'm at 6 tallies right now, and I plan on, I'm going to be getting one every year, so once I do get my yearly tally, then I'll get another little tattoo or whatever, just because, I don't know, I love it, and I mean, yeah,
It's a lovely expression of yourself.
yeah.
Okay, so now let's hear about your habits. So I know a lot of people refer to habits as being negative, but you don't view habits as negative. So tell me a little bit about how you've turned your habits into health.
Well, habits, first, you got to figure out your why. Like, why do you want to stick with this habit? And once you do have the habit, like, do your research to figure out like your why. It's very important. Preferably make it a healthy habit. And yeah.
So I think when we spoke, it was the habits that helped build you the routine,
Yeah.
and that helped you reach your health goals that much quicker.
Yeah, habits for me, it's huge for me as, yeah, everything I've done, like, I've made them all habits of mine. But even if you start out small, like, you gotta start small with the habits. And an example of that would be your dental hygiene, because that is super important for even your brain health, your mental health, everything. So maybe flossing every day. That's really good. I mean, just start somewhere, start small, don't give up, and just make sure you have a very important why. And I'm sure, I promise you, you'll see some benefits. Just don't give up and just stick with it. And if it says, if from your research you've done, if it says that it's probably a good thing, I advise that you stick with it and don't give up. Just, yeah.
Okay, so we hear the buzzword growth mindset a lot out there, but Corbin is the definition of that. So Corbin, what does growth mindset mean to you?
Growth mindset. Okay. So after my injury, I was kind of, I guess, I was being looked at like I'm the victim, like, so everyone's like, oh, poor you, like all this kind of stuff, and I didn't want to be looked at as a victim. I wanted to, I wanted to use what's happened to me to benefit people, and I there's the only way I could do that was to change my mindset, and I realized growth mindset is the perfect way to do that. As like reading, I would read books. I've read tons of books. I've listened. I still read. I still listen to podcasts. I'm learning new languages. I'm doing whatever I can to really grow and just be an overall better person. And just, yeah, I don't know.
And I can attest, I've witnessed it. So Corbin, what's your why? Why brain health?
Why brain health?
Yeah.
Well, my why, like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. My why is like having a brain injury is a good reason to really to take care of your brain. And I've always wondered at the young age of 24 if having a brain injury would be a good thing, and I didn't really contemplate that too long, but I realized it was a good thing, as now I've got my whole life to share my story, dedicate to promoting brain health, and yeah, so like you gotta love your brain before it's unwillingly taken, as I'm sure everyone knows that you deal with, or if they've had loved ones, they've dealt with Alzheimer's and dementia. There's a lot of stuff you can be doing for prevention, not just to wearing helmets, to whatever, but like taking care of your brain, loving your brain. I mean, the big three, the exercise, the nutrition, and the sleep, you work on, that's prevention right there, and it's really important. And with a guy like me, with a brain injury, if I can feel as good as I do most of the time, I couldn't even imagine how good you would feel if you really take care of yourself before, like I said, it's unwillingly taken, like something happens, like an accident like mine or whatever. But yeah, and when you form healthy habits, you just got to remember that you don't have to, but you get to. So yeah, I don't know. The big three is what I would say is the best thing that you could be doing to prevent the decline of whatever. But just love your brain. That's all I gotta say. Like.
Corbin, you are incredibly inspiring, and I thank you so much. I know we've been working on this for a couple months, but my goodness, the story still puts every hair on my arm up. So,
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
No, thank
please-
you.
And last but not least, a little known thing about Corbin that we're just starting to learn is that he's also an incredible poet. He has turned a lot of his pain and triumph and just all of his trials into words. And so, Corbin, would you like to share your poem?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay. I wake up in a panic. Calmly, I ask myself a question. Corbin, how do you feel? Nightmare was terrifying and traumatic. Couldn't possibly be real. Shallow breaths, state of uncertainty and fear. Relax in awareness. Your breath is always here. Breathe deep from the belly. What a fragile yet beautiful moment. This is your life. Rise up and own it. Please have faith in yourself or up above. I believe in peace and kindness, purely a state of love. Believe the negativity or not, false evidence appearing real. We emotionally disabled beings, we're humans, we feel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Corbin.
Thank you.